Hello, welcome to Hammertime 8 Round 4. Rob and Owen Jackson commentating a game between Lumineth Realm Lords and Daughters of Khaine, two armies at the tippity top of the competitive cock. They are very excited to get it on. We're excited to be here. Thanks everyone for joining us live. Owen, good morning. As the TO and the commentator, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I've got some wonderful assistant TOs today. So yeah, we've got the round underway. No dramas, I don't think. Haven't had any messages to say any problems. So yeah, I'm in good form. Thank you. Little bit fuzzy, but it's a bright sunny morning in London, England, and I'm ready to talk about Warhammer with you and some fellow nerds on the internet. And I couldn't be happier.
Me too. Morning, everyone. Hope you're all well. Yeah, it's a hot game. You can find out the list in the chat by typing !lists. I'm going to go straight to the tabletop now. Now, if you're watching the game, we're playing shifting objectives. There's a primary objective and there are two secondary objectives. And as the name suggests, they shift. They move a boot. That's what they do. They are untemporary. No, they are temporary. They are anyway, they move. Good morning. It's Sunday. Owen, the primary is worth 2. The primary is worth 3 and the other 2 are worth 1. Is that right?
That is correct indeed. Yeah, there's 1 point for each objective, and then 1 extra for the primary. It used to be 2 extra for the primary, and and people didn't like the mission. But I think 1 extra for the primary, and they roll for that at the start of each battle round. And then you get an extra point if you have a battle line unit within 6 inches. Interesting to note that the same battle line unit could be strung across all 3, and that gets them 3 points. So, battle line are important on this. The players are 24 inches apart. So, the slower armies tend not to be able to touch their opponent on turn 1. We've got a matchup between the man, the myth, the legend of Dayton Obrey. He'd normally be talking to you on a Sunday about, what's come out in the Warhammer world. But no, he's in heady heights of 3 wins, no losses. And he's facing off against a classic Lumineth list with Enzo, his sire list. So,
now, like we said, the lists are in the chat and we'll include them in the show notes as well if you're watching back. But there are loads of things in this list, in these lists to talk about. One of the key points here is that this is a very classic archetype, like Owen was saying, for this Lumineth Realm Lords list. Like we said pre-show, probably one of the last outings you might see of this Aurelian Legion list, Aurelian Legion list. Although that said, pretty certain the Lumineth army. The new Lumineth is pretty good with this in anyway. I don't see this being worse. I think Techlist just gets better in this list with access, obviously, to the Stone Mage spells. The wind spells. So, I think this is a really competent list, and they've deployed very aggressively for Lumineth and very defensively for Daughters of Khaine. I'll quickly bang through what's in the list here. So that classic build by Enzo is Great Nation Sire. So, of course, each one of his units of Lumineth have got a double stack of Aether Quartz. So they're going to be able to give themselves +1 to save or +2 to save. There's all of that. There's Techlist, of course. There's the Cenari Cathalar, who's got the Command Trait Goading Arrogance and the Perfect Blade. A pretty standard build now. And then the Battalion, the Aurelian Legion. And then there's two units of 20 Wardens, 240 points of raw muscle. Yes, it's only a 4-up save, but don't forget they can give themselves +1 save if they wanted to. They could set up so they're -1 to hit in Shining Company. When Techlist gets his bubble off, they can have a 5-up DPR. So very, very solid in there. So those 2 units of 20 Wardens. Now we've got 2 units of 10 Sentinels. So those are the archers. So 20 shots coming out of those at 36 inches. And 18 shots. Thank you very much, because the main guy doesn't have one. And then the Dawn Riders, of course, at the back. Little pocket Dawn Riders, hidden quite well. And then 2 Endless Spells. Of course, the Umbral Spell Portal for the Technado. But finally, the Emerald Life Swarm. Owen, we don't often see that in the list. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think you often find that people, the Lumineth players want to have they go for the Technados, so they've got the Spell Portal, or they maybe go for Geminids because they want a bit more of control. or an additional -1 to hit. But yeah, Life Swarm's super strong. Like, every time you knock down one of those wardens or one of those sentinels, there's no summoning obviously in a Lumineth list, so it's a bit of a hammer blow. So every single one of those that go down is always really good for the opponent. So the ability to potentially bring back D3 of those is pretty huge. So yeah, and also prior to the new spell laws coming out in Broken Realms tech list, then there's no healing in the Lumineth book. I think they might have a heal spell now in the new law, but before that, and obviously we're not playing Broken Realms this weekend because there's no FAQ. So he's got the healing in there, which the book was missing. Because keeping tech list topped up is key to his path to victory, right?
But he is a 2-drop army. A 2-drop army here, and then when we jump over and look at my man Dayton O'Bray's list here, he's got the Scath Coven. So everything in this list is in that battalion. So it's a 1-drop, I'm pretty certain, in this situation. So he's got Bloodrack Shrine, he's got Hag Queen and Cauldron of Blood. The Bloodrack Shrine is 160 points of raw intimidating value. This is stonks to the moon. That's what they're doing. And they are really good. Mistress of Illusion, Steed Shadows. In Calibron, -1 to be shot in shooting all game, anywhere on the board. That obviously will double up super well with Lookout Sir as well, from -2 to be shot at. Hag Queen on Cauldron of Blood is going to give out that aura for the Blood Shield, which is going to be really important. And then you've got the Iron Circlets, which is going to allow him to re-roll a prayer as well. He's got the Melisay Iron Scale, which I think Owen's going to talk about in a minute. And then he's got two units of Blood Sisters, so a big brick of 20 and a big brick of 10 Blood Sisters. So loads of wounds there. The 20 Blood Sisters is 520 points. And then there are 15 Bloodstalkers, and there's another unit of 5 Bloodstalkers, and obviously they're all, as stated before, in the Scath Coven. Owen, you're a big fan of the Iron Scale.
Yeah, definitely. For 110 points, the utility that she brings is fantastic. And it's also a hero with an 8-inch move. She's got a nice little cheeky shooting attack. She's got some good combat profile. But the key reason why she's in the list is her command ability is spend a CP in the hero phase, and a unit of Kinnerai, so this would be the Sisters or the Stalkers, they can either run and shoot, so they can run and shoot or run and charge, or both. So, for example, and it's a 2d6 run, Rob. So effectively what that means is that they're an 8-inch move, and then average on 2d6 is say a 7, so that's a 15-inch move, and then still a charge on top of that, of 2d6. So you've got some real alpha potential there, and some real fast. They can be very reactive. Similarly, 24-inch shooting range on those Stalkers. If you really want to, so with a move it's 32. So if you run them as well, and again we'll go with averages a 7-inch run, that's a 39-inch threat range on the 15 Stalkers. So that'll be 30 shots at 39-inch range. So that Cathalar better beware, because there's some snipey snakes who've got all the range in the world to be able to reach out. So this is probably going to be pretty scary. There's some pretty scary ranges on both sides, with both the Sentinels and the Bloodstalkers. But yeah, 20 Blood Sisters on the charge is no joke. They will blend the world. It should be a really interesting game. They've both got a lot of combat threats and a lot of shooting, but it's the glass cannon of the Daughters versus the sort of the very resilient Lumineth, sort of with that warden wall that he's set up. So it should be an interesting game, I think.
I think very interesting. As you can see here, look at this tech list. We're into the first turn now. Tech list is getting all of the buffs up. Boosts for days. That's what he's doing. So as you can see, he's already got mortal wounds off on the Sentinels here. He's also got mortal wounds off. So this is their spell. So the empowered weapons going to do mortal wounds on 5s to hit so far. I don't know if the other unit Sentinels has failed it or wasn't able to get it off. We'll check. And then again, the other unit of Wardens have got mortal wounds on 5s to hit. We'll find out as well whether or not Teclis, how many spells Teclis decided to cast, or maybe he hasn't even started to cast yet. But already racking up a ton of spells, right?
Yes, and this is the way it goes, right? It's nice to see that they've rolled straight into this turn, because the Lumineth hero phase is fabled as being quite a complicated beast. So yeah, there's all manner. Obviously, in a Lumineth Realm Lord's army, we're all wizards, Harry. So yeah, every unit is a wizard. So whilst it maintains its champion, so all the units can cast. It's a lot. So yeah, you're expecting here the all the buffs to come out, and obviously Teclis has got some really unique spellcasting abilities that he can dip into, hasn't he, Rob?
Yeah, loads. So as we can see, we've already had the Technado put out, or more importantly, the Umbral Spell Portal has been put out on the board. We'll find out from our table boss if how many spells he's elected to cast. I'm not sure at the moment. From Teclis, because obviously he's going to want to put up Protection of Teclis, which is going to be that 16, 18-inch bubble for the 5-up DPR. But right now we're going to get the Technado off, I think is what we're looking at. So he's going to be currently measuring right now the 18 inches from this area. But as you can see, it looks like Dayton has decided he's going to backline most of his army and wait for his opponent to move on to the objectives, because you're going to have to, right? Like, this is one of the nice things about objective-based gaming is ultimately the Lumineth army has to move into that center board. It has to go and grab that objectives, and then Dayton able to kind of neuter some of the first turn threats he might have to face, and then a big countercharge turn with potentially a double turn after that. So some real strength there. That Meliusai, I think, very safe at the back of the board. Let me just double check where she is. I'm pretty certain she's just right there. Yeah, there she is. So she's safe from the Sentinels, I think, in this version of Age of Sigmar. Obviously, when we get smaller boards, it's going to be more of an issue hiding from those Sentinels. But right now, it's hidden quite nicely. So I don't think that Technado is going to hit her either. Technado is any 6s to hit could do D6 mortal wounds, so we could see them go down. But yeah, just going to shout out my man, our table boss, Matt, and say if he has said anything in the past 5 minutes, I've not heard a word. So I'm not sure if it's me, him, or the technology at the moment.
Probably the technology, Rob, knowing how these things go down. Let's have a little look. How are we doing in this? So obviously there's a note here for players. Teclis is doing 4 spells, we've been told, Rob. But one thing to note here, obviously, turn 1, I'd imagine that Dayton would have been measuring out, you're measuring out around about 37 inches from Teclis to check the range on that spell. So a note for sort of newer players is always sort of have a chat with your opponent about, the range of things, and then you can deploy. There's no point just putting an important hero within half an inch of that. Range of that portal. So hopefully Dayton's protected his important heroes, and he can weather the storm. I mean, it looks like it's going to be a classic turn of walk forward, keep the castle up for the Lumineth Realm Lords player, and then brace for impact. Right?
This is literally how I think this army works, and will work as time goes on. I think there'll be versions of this in the future, Owen, where it's fairly similar as well, even with all of the additional new stuff. Because there's a lot of points tied into Teclis, 660 points, and you're going to really want the value out of that 660 points. And honestly, having watched a load of games with Teclis, I don't know what the Twitch chat think, and also thanks everyone for being here. You're well loved and appreciated. I still don't know if he's worth the points. I can't decide. And that's kind of the interesting conversation about what we're seeing between these two armies. As you can see, Dayton has decided to skip Marathi, and I think Marathi is way more worth her points. Way more worth her points than Teclis is. Like, Marathi all day. However, Dayton's decided to skip that and just go for a lot more snakes on the board. And I think you could do the same, really, with Teclis gone off the board, personally.
Well, there's a list here this weekend where is no tech list, and it does really give you so many more troops. There is a list with 80 Sentinels because and no tech list. I mean, one thing I would say, Rob, is that we've all been fanboying on how amazing Be'lakor is for 240 points, and he effectively does one thing, one very impactful thing. You could argue that Teclis's abilities and Teclis's spellcasting power and the way that he can guarantee those spells every turn if he wishes, that's just as, Total Eclipse every turn is just as crippling as being Be'lakor, right? So I don't know. I think...
But you could still cast Total Eclipse, you just don't need Teclis to do it.
That is an excellent point.
But I mean, it's more of an opportunity cost. It's more like a definitive. I guess one of the conversations that's happening right now, and just to let you know what Teclis has done this so far in the hero phase, is he's cast 4 spells: Protection of Teclis, Total Eclipse, as we just talked about, and of course the Technado. I would say, Owen, that ultimately, it's what we're seeing right now with the conversation around Be'lakor. A lot of people saying that they think Be'lakor is a lot worse because the only reason you took Be'lakor was for that one thing. Yeah, the Dark Master ability. And so now it costs more points just to pay for that ability. And they don't want a fighty monster. They don't want a monster that's got more wounds or can play in its own. They're just like, I want to plug and play that ability in my army for 240 points. And now it's more points for a pretty decent combat monster that's also got the ability. And I think that's the skip around where I guess what Teclis brings to the table is obviously the guaranteed spellcasting, but is that 660 points? Is that what that's worth? Maybe in the Lumineth army, I think that's interesting. That'd be 2 units of wind charges and some more sentinels, and I feel like you get more out of it. You get more board control, you get more long range shooting. I think there's an interesting conversation there. Yeah.
I'm going to look over my left shoulder now, and I'm going to stare at my, beautiful Queen Alariel. And in that case, Teclis is a bloody steal.
Yeah, that's true.
As it currently stands. So we've got an interesting bit of an interesting interaction going here on the table. Obviously, units from the Lumineth army that have the relevant keywords can start in Shining Company, giving them that -1 to hit, but it does really limit their movement. He can't run in Shining Company. So without the double move spell, I'm not sure if we saw Speed of Hish go on any of the units. So yeah, I've just had it confirmed that Speed of Hish was cast from the Dawn Riders onto the big unit of Wardens in the middle. So expect them to go 12 inches. But obviously he's going for that late game play here, isn't he, Rob? He's keeping the castle intact. When we talk about the castle, we're talking about the protection of Teclis, which is a bubble that's coming off Teclis, giving a 5-up DPR, so a 5-up save against all damage. So expect to see Teclis in the center, and that larger unit of Wardens in the center, they can rush forward. But it's going to be a low-scoring turn here, and over a double, or even just if we go you go I go. I think if Dayton plays the objective game here, he's in with an excellent shout because they don't want to spread out, do they, Rob? This is classic Lumineth Realm Lords 1.0 we are seeing here, isn't it?
Yeah, this is exactly how they play. Now, they're playing obviously into Calibron as well, so one of the things you have to be super aware of is that teleport command ability. So to be able to pick up a unit and teleport, and as you could see there, he was measuring on the right-hand side to make sure he wouldn't be able to get in any of those units of Stalkers. So those are the kind of combat... Sorry, the Blood Sisters, sorry. Those are the combat kind of beasts in this list that are going to go and do the savage combat. I think that you're right, that this is how we're looking at this Teclian army play is how they play. Do I feel that that's right? I'm not sure. We talk a lot about trading units, and there's some really good trading units which we don't currently see in this Daughters of Cain list, but there are some in the Daughters of Cain specifically. You've got things like 10 Witch Elves that can just run onto an objective, and then they can be like, I'm 10 wounds, and they can kind of fight you. And then you've got Heartrenders and Harpies. They can get onto the objectives and do the same thing, and they can obviously drop down. So in this kind of situation, had Dayton got 2 units of Heartrenders, he could just drop 5 of them on the objective and then make his opponent have to come and fight him off the objective. He could shoot him off the objective, but he also has to get on the objective at the same time, which I think is kind of key. So he's not got anything to trade with. Shadow Stonkers are another example. But that's the thing about the Lumineth army. They have no trading units, or they don't build trading units. And that's, again, what you lose with that 660 points in the list. You lose putting that trading ability into the list because you're not trading with Teclis. You're not even trading with 20 Wardens. Even though they're at a great price point, 20 of them for 280 points is a great unit that can dish out 40 attacks where 5's are mortal wounds. They're just quality. So they just don't put them in the list, and that's what I think the Wind Chargers will do to change up this army. Honestly, I think about it time and time again. They would have just, in this situation, imagine Teclis wasn't there right now, they just put 2 units of Wind Chargers on an objective, their opponent's going to have to come get them, and then they can fight them off. Whereas right now, they're having to put really their hammer units, because that's what the Wardens are, the hammer units right at the front line and say, okay, throw your whole army at the hammer unit and we'll see how it survives. That's a great question. But, you know, in Sire, it's going to be a 2-up armor save, a 5-up DPR, and -1 to hit. So, pretty survivable.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at the chat there, I think somebody's got a bit lost from World of Warcraft and stumbled into our stream. So, whoever Studio Erstwood is, don't worry, man. This is a better game. You'll have a wonderful time. I've got a feeling that you might be quite good at this one. So stick around and learn something. And,
stick with it.
Yeah, stick with it, man.
Stick with it.
So, Rob, I don't know how you feel, but I think I appreciate and sort of I can see what Dayton's done with his deployment, but I would have had something closer to the line, at least threaten, because even with that 2d6 run and charge, I still don't think he's going to get into those Wardens. But that's what they want, right? Because Wardens get better on the charge. But I'm just thinking. I would have liked to put something on the line just because he can go out and grab objectives easier now as well. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting. I'll be interested to see now what Dayton does with his first turn, because playing for the double is never a sure path to victory. So he's going to have to really make some interesting choices as to what he pushes forward to take the objectives and stay. Get parity on points. One interesting thing I've just noticed, having read the lists, Rob, is Dayton's whole army is Battleshock immune.
It is. Yeah, because of the Scath Coven.
Yeah, the Scath Coven. I've seen people taking the Viperic Guard, and there seems to be so many viable battalions inside of the Daughters of Cain book. Yeah, I mean, even with Bravery 8, they're pretty brave anyway. But if they take a hammering, then none of those stalkers or sisters are going to be running away, which could, again, be good. And also, the fact that the Iron Scale is in there and the Bloodwrack Shrine means that all of those snakes are battle line, which are going to be fantastic on the mission.
It does. Yeah. It does. Yeah, a whole battle line army is going to play so well into the shifting objectives. And like we said, he can I agree with you, getting the double isn't key, but it's a very fast army. So a 2d6-inch move and run and charge is going to be that key point for the kind of the fighting block. So the Blood Sisters. The Blood Stalkers, though, are in 24-inch shooting attack, and then, of course, they can move that 8 inches as well. So they've got a 32-inch threat range on top, so they can bring some hurt and pain in with them as well. So I think that's kind of an interesting play. Really, though, Dayton's army isn't as tanky in any way. So the Daughters of Cain aren't anywhere near as tanky as the Lumineth. So they're going to want to get the charge off. They can't be really hit and then fight back. That's not what they're looking for. They're looking for that big charge. So a very cagey game. And I think, yeah, I'm with you. I maybe would have played more aggressively and put more things on the line. That said, though, I think one of the things that obviously we should talk about is the fact that that Technado was there. And it will be happening again. Next turn, he's going to be suffering from Technado army-wide, pretty much, if he moves it in. But that's why he's got Calibron, right? He's got the teleport. If he wants to, he can just drop 5 models on this left-hand objective. He doesn't have to necessarily engage with his castle. He could teleport on the side, or he could just start threatening the back of the board and get into those Dawn Riders. Those Dawn Riders as well, great selection and great input into the Lumineth Realm Lords list. However, they're best into 1 wound infantry. They're not bad into 2 wound infantry like we see here on the Blood Sisters and Blood Stalkers, but they're best into 1 wound infantry, and there's none available there. So I think that's key.
And they're absolutely important for the mission. Again, they are battle line, the Dawn Riders, and they can go up to 28 inches. So, to be honest with you, there is an argument for Dayton to potentially, put a unit of one of his units of archers over onto that objective on that side, and then ping those off. The way that Dayton plays his first turn, I think, will have a very big bearing. One thing to bear in mind as well is I think that Enzo, our Lumineth player, he's popped that Total Eclipse. So we've been waxing lyrical about how amazing that command ability is on that iron scale, and it's going to cost 2 CP now to enact that plan. Yeah, good play there from Enzo, realizing how important that command ability is. And but generally, you put Total Eclipse on every turn, right, Rob? Because it's really, really good.
Every single time you do it. Like, why wouldn't you? It's so key. So the guys right now just firing into into the shooting phase for Lumineth Realm Lords right now. We're just double checking some targeting and who's targeting who. This is going to be important. One of the units of Sentinels has got mortal wounds on 5s to hit. The other one does not, or did not get it off. So that's going to maybe tell. I wonder who they're going to be shooting at, Owen. That's kind of the main question. Also, that we've been shooting at the Bloodrack Shrine. That's what we've been targeting. And then also the Blood Sisters. And also the Blood Sisters. And one of the things, Owen, that's also happened there is the Bloodstalker's taken 2 wounds as well from the Technado, it seems, previously. So 2 wounds done into the Bloodrack Shrine. We've lost some Blood Sisters. And that Melusite Iron Scale has also taken 2 wounds as well from Technado. Technado, if it goes off again, Dayton's going to have to move into the range of it, and everything's going to take some punishment next turn. It's pretty rough.
Yeah, there are abilities in the game now that you just can't hide from. So it's, I think in that scenario, you've just got to just try and impose your game plan onto your opponent. If they can gift of change you from 45 inches, or they can shoot you from 36 inches, you just got to wear it, and you've got to think, fine, I'm not going to let. I'm quite a conservative player, and as a newer player, when I started playing, I used to be so conservative, you can sometimes stymie your own plan by concentrating too much on what your opponent can do, and they might not target what you think they're going to target, or they might get something wrong, or they might not get their buff off. So I think whilst you have to respect what your opponent can do, sometimes you just got to wear it, take it to the face and go, cool, you can do that, well, I can do this, and you impose yourself on your opponent. Yeah, because there's no hiding from the Technado, really, if he deploys Techless quite aggressively like that. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. But we're now, so 2 points on the board. A very tentative first turn for the Lumineth Realm Lords. Very cagey. Daughters of Cain now. They've got 2 points. Is it 2 points on the board? Yeah. Oh, 3 points. Where's the for the center, of course. So 3 points in the middle. They've started with a cagey first turn, and those CP. We started out with 1 CP because of the battalion. We generated another one this turn, and then he spent 2 now because of Total Eclipse to move. I think he spent it on the Melusite. We'll double check now from my table boss where it was spent. I don't think it was spent on Teleport. Oh, so he has spent it on the big unit of Blood Sisters. That's what he's done. Looking for a big run and charge. And don't forget, run 2d6. So it's 8 inches plus a 2d6 run and charge. That's a big hopeful. He's looking for a 666, right? That's what we're looking for to get across the board there.
Yeah, man. That's never failed in the history of Warhammer, right? The old 6 into 6. There's an incredibly fast hero phase. So he's got reroll wounds. So they've got all the buffs. I mean, there is, whilst he needs to get up there and impose himself, the Wardens do like to be charged, don't they, Rob? Because they get rend when you charge them. So he's got sun metal weapons and rend. And with a 5-up save, if they do get in, it could be pretty scary. But yeah, with re-rolling wounds, so he must have got is it Witch Brew that gives him the re-roll wounds, Rob? I believe Witch Brew from the Hag.
Witch Brew. Witch Brew gives them re-roll wounds. So we've got that up now, so that's going to be really important. Let's look at the melee profile of these terrifying snake people. So the Blood Stalkers, as they are known, or the Blood Sisters.
Wow. They're on the move, Rob. Look at those.
How far did he roll? What did he roll, Table Boss? Oh, okay. I rolled a 4 and a 2, so that's 6. So it's a 14-inch move there. He rolled low. Low. It's a bit of a shame. He needs a 9-inch charge to get in. He doesn't have any CP for the reroll, so that's a little bit heartbreaking for him. I'm sure he would have liked to have rolled a little bit higher. I think I wasn't judging the distance well enough on here. He was much closer than I thought, and he is very close now. These Blood Sisters, they have got a 2-inch range on their weapons, so they can fight in 2 ranks, which is really important. And then they've got 3 attacks each, 3s, rend 1, damage 1. Now, don't forget they're going to be re-rolling ones they're going to be re-rolling to wounds. So it's actually 3 attacks, 3s to hit, 3s re-rolling, rend 1, damage 1. And then at the end of the combat phase, you can turn to Crystal. Pick 1 enemy unit within an inch of this unit and roll 1 dice for each model in this unit. For each 3+, the enemy unit suffers a mortal wound. So, depending on how he does, but there's only 20 wounds in that Venari unit, but they've also got mortal wounds on 5s to hit. I'm pretty certain. Oh, they might not have, but they do, and they've got 2 stacks of Aether Quartz. So if they want, they can just survive. Well, maybe most of this damage. We'll see.
Hey, Rob, that was probably the worst possible roll that Dayton could have got there, because on turn 1 for the Daughters of Cain players, on their blood rights table, they've got Quickening Bloodlust, so you can re-roll 1s to run on turn 1. So even if he popped a 1 in there, if he'd have rolled a 5, a 4 and a 1, he could have re-rolled that and profited, hopefully. So one thing, though, if he does fail that charge, it looks like he's nicked the centre objective, which, you know, he's at least going to have some parity on points there. The teleport from Calibron costs a CP, I believe, doesn't it?
It does.
He's
getting no command abilities next turn with Total Eclipse up, no matter what happens. Because Total Eclipse makes all command abilities cost 2. And in the CP-starved Daughters of Cain army, they're just going to really struggle. So now he's just going to have to play as he is. But he does have control of a lot of the rest of the board, I would say. He's obviously bringing up those Bloodstalkers now with their shooting. 24-inch shooting on those. So they're definitely going to... That's massive range. Massive range. So they're going to be still being able to shoot into that unit of yellow Wardens as well. So he can really hammer home into that. Even if he doesn't get the charge off, he can really start to pick away at that unit. And ultimately, this is the thing about this list. Once that unit's gone, there's only 1 other unit of Wardens. But that's Warden's Slap. If they've got the mortal wound buff off, they're pretty much going through the Blood Sister unit. They're just going out. They're dead. 2 attacks each, and any 5s to hit are going to cause a mortal wound. So, I don't know, what does everyone think? I mean, it's a big 9-inch charge. If we've got it off, it's that priority roll is going to be even more important.
No, and something to remember is that the sort of beautifully crafted elven bow is only 8 inches. Is it 8 inches? Yeah, only 8 inches more powerful than a skink's lungs. Interesting to note that the most powerful lungs in all of the mortal realms. Yeah. I think one thing to note here is that in a shooting meta, which we're in, I believe now, while some people don't think we are, I believe we are. There's a lot of gun-on-gun action, Rob. You know, crawlers, Mortek crawlers shooting Mortek crawlers, and sentinels shooting stalkers. You know, the power of the shooting that's in the game does mean that often you're finding that one opponent's shooting unit is looking to take out the other opponent's shooting unit. But it does look like he's pumping the Wardens. He's going for that, you know, big... there is normally an argument not to shoot the unit you want to charge because he can make the charge longer, but I don't think that's relevant here. It looks like it's going to be a 9-inch regardless.
Yeah, because all of the frontage that he's going to be hitting is going to be... Like, that's not what's going to be removed, I don't think. maybe he'll take off. I mean, he could. No matter where, I think it's still a 9-inch charge, unless he loses half the unit. But I guess Dayton's going to be over the moon if he loses half that unit of Warden straight off the bat. It also means he's used his Aether Quartz now for +1 save. It also means he's not going to double tap that Aether Quartz, which is going to be quite important. So he's already used one amount for +1 to save. So they've gone up to a 3-up save and a 5-up DPR. So probably not expecting a lot of damage here. Oh, the guys are just resetting the board. Yeah, not expecting loads of damage, but still quite a bit. Still, that's a 500... Is it a 520 point unit? It's a very expensive unit. It is. No, the Bloodstalkers is a 420 point unit. So this 15 Bloodstalkers. So expensive. We've got 2 units here. That one's 420, one's 520. So this brick here. So those 2 units, they're 900 points between them, which is beefy.
Oh yeah, and I think there's some interesting interactions here in terms of the way that each other's rules are working. There's a lot of anti-bravery or bravery sort of manipulation mechanics within that Lumineth book, but inherently the snakes have a bravery 8, but also the whole army. The whole army is Battleshock immune, so he doesn't really care about that. Oh, so I think we're having a triumph being used, Rob.
We are.
The Stalkers.
If anyone made me in charge of Age of Sigmar, the very first thing I delete from the game, like the very first thing. But yeah, triumph is being used, and it's being making so the Bloodstalkers re-roll to hit. Wow. And so far on the to hit, because any 6s to hit are going to cause a mortal wound. And he has done 6 mortal wounds so far into those Wardens, not forgetting. And then 13 wounds in addition, but he does have his armor save, and it is going to be a 4-up. So he's failed quite a few there, Owen. But he is re-rolling 1s. So yeah, still not great at all. So he's taken 7 more wounds in addition to the 6. So he's got 13 5-up DPRs to save. This is from Protection Attack List. So he's looking to roll big here. Only 2, so 11 of that brick of 20. 11 or 12. I thought it was 11, but okay. Oh, okay. So another one has gone down. So 12. 12 of that brick of 20 in a turn.
Wow.
In a turn, we've still got the charge phase to come, and that's really half the meat and potatoes. This is at least your Yorkshire pudding in a Sunday roast, and as it's Sunday, this is perfect timing. He's eaten a lot of the good stuff already. Yeah, pretty big, and that's just that unit of Stalkers. Don't forget that unit of Stalkers had no buffs apart from the rerolls to hit. Well, apart from, it's pretty big. But the Shining Company was up, so it was also -1 to hit. This unit of Stalkers, you are going to see a lot in Age of Sigmar. A lot.
Okay, right. 140 points. 5 Stalkers or 10 Sentinels. What do you prefer?
Oh, great question. Twitch chat, same question to you. 10 Sentinels. I think I prefer the Stalkers. Because the Sentinels, while good, they never stack with that command ability from Morathi. So I go for the Stalkers every time, I'd say. And they're a little bit more... Well, they're the same tankiness.
I think that it's the rend. It's the rend on the shots that don't have mortals on them,
Yeah, that's true. Right, okay, so we just found out that the bravery test has been passed from the Cathalar. So it's helped those guys stay. We have failed the charge on the Blood Sisters, and we're into the priority roll here. And Twitch chat is getting serious. Which elves do you like? Priority roll has been won by the Daughters of Cain, and I'm pretty certain they're going to be taking it. Our table boss will confirm for us in a moment. Owen, how do you feel about it?
Wow, well, Dayton's opened the can, hasn't he, on turn 1, and now it's time to get in and eat all the meat. I think those Blood Sisters are going to have some fun now. Stephen AOS makes a great point in the chat. She's saying that Sentinels do have rend if you're close enough. I think that's 18-inch range. And it is quite difficult. We don't play War Scroll Hammer, do we? You have to look at it within the ecosystem of the book in general. I just think it's quite an interesting comparison. I think... Obviously, you see a lot of Stalkers shooting twice, but they're not shooting twice here. But shooting once seemed to be enough to open that up.
Okay, yeah. So Hero Phase for Daughters of Cain already over, and we've seen this unit of Blood Sisters failed. Most of the buffs have failed. Most importantly, we haven't got Witch Booster. We haven't got reroll to wound, which is the key one he wanted. Even with the Iron Circlet for the rerolls that's on this Blood Rack Shrine here. Oh, is it a Blood Rack Shrine? No, Cauldron of Blood. Sorry, the Cauldron of Blood. It wasn't off, and that was kind of a key play here. However, again, there's this unit of 5 Stalkers over here, this other unit of Blood Stalkers. They're going to be able to move up. They're going to be able to put all those shots, this time into a unit of Sentinels if they want to clear them off, and start taking out some of the output, take out the Wardens. I think one of the problems about getting into the meat at the back there, Owen, is he's going to want to try and, I don't know, I would maybe, if he could, take the unit of Blood Sisters and throw them into the Wardens on the far right. He's got enough bodies to kind of move up behind here into the center, and if he wants to, he could use the Stalkers again to shoot in and whittle out the Wardens. And I think with both units of Wardens out of play, then I think it's game, truthfully. Like, there's just not enough punch left in the Teclian force, and that's the interesting point. 40 wounds and the army falls apart. How do you feel about that? Because we talked about this list and we talked about Lumineth a lot, and I just think there's too many points spent too many other places. Like, we've got the Aurelian Legion, which is really good for the drops. Do they need it? Do they not want more points for another brick of 10 Wardens here? Like, you know,
I think normally they would want to be able to control who has the first turn so that they can get all the buffs up and the protection and things like that. I mean, I do still think that Total Eclipse is doing some work here because if he did have a CP, he could have teleported the snakes, which I think is the play. You teleport the snakes onto the opposite side, and then you whittle down the big unit of untouched Wardens in the same way as you whittle down the unit in the middle. Whilst it's very, like, you know, like Dayton's eyes would have lit up when he got that priority roll, and there's a lot of sort of GG in the chat, people thinking that it's totally over, which, you know, it's very much Dayton is in the ascendancy here, but he still has to play the turn correctly and target things correctly and make sure that he, you know, he doesn't, you know, try and overextend too much. But yeah, because, you know, even with a small amount of models, the Lumineth force still can punch. But the fact that all of Dayton's army is battle line is also a big factor here.
Big factor.
Yeah,
big factor.
With the points now.
Yeah, I mean, so look, as you guys can see, he's grabbing those points really well, and it looks like he's taking the right course of action, and he's moving up. However, like you say, Total Eclipse, let's talk about that one more time. This charge he needs, not very long, super okay, 5 inches, and you think, okay, with a reroll, pretty much I'm going to make that charge most of the time. However, Total Eclipse is up, there's 1 CP in the bank, but because of Total Eclipse doubling the CP usage, that is not option. He's got 1 opportunity for that 5-inch charge, just 1. And Owen, as you and me played a game the other day, a double 1 charge into a double 1 charge with a reroll, that's 2 fails, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think Enzo right here is hoping that the dice gods are looking kindly upon him, because this could be rough. There's I wonder what these stalkers are going to do. There's an excellent argument to take out those Dawn Riders. I don't know how you feel. What the target priority on the now that the stalkers can't teleport to threaten the big unit of untouched 20 Wardens. Where do you think they're going to shoot? What would you shoot at in this position?
I think I'd still pump it into the Wardens. I still think I'd take them out because really, like, I don't want to shoot for shoot. It doesn't really make any sense. And if I can take out the Wardens, then there's really nothing that they can throw into the Blood Sisters. They can throw the Dawn Riders in, and Dawn Riders pretty good. Dawn Riders can do some work, and they're going to have to throw Teclis in as well. But they're going to have to move the Sentinels back. They can't have the Sentinels near the objective. They can't be piled into. So, and like, I mean, like, all love for 8 Wardens. They'll do some work. But like, if I can just take them down to 2 or 3, I mean, that last shooting phase pretty much made them worthless anyway. Getting that out, I would say that that's 100% the play. And then you're just going to have to eat the Steed Masters. But I think I think he's made. I'm so happy he's made the choice not to go into the Sentinels and instead is going into the Wardens on the far right. And they're also outside of protection of tech list. I think maybe. Let's just turn that on. Nope. Yeah, I think they're outside of the protection of tech list. Do you not think?
Yeah, which.
Oh, thank you very much. Oh, they are inside.
It would be madness for them not to be inside.
Yeah, yeah.
It, Rob,
okay, so
really?
they are inside. All right. So in which case they're all good. Yeah. Yeah, everyone in the chat having that conversation about this Techless build, which we see all the time, a Techless, Oral, and Legion. I think there's a really good conversation being had in the chat, so thanks everyone for doing it. Yeah. Okay, so it seems that our big brick of Bloodstalkers is shooting into the Red Sentinels, which is not what I was really expecting there. What do you think about that, Owen?
I don't hate it. It is a bit of that gun-on-gun action like we talked about. I think what he can probably do here now then is finish them off and then charge the Yellow Wardens, maybe put 6 or 7 into the Yellow Wardens and then just screen off the objective with the rest of them. I wouldn't really try and make that unit of 20 do too much. If he picks off the Red Sentinels in the shooting phase, then charges and kills the Yellow Wardens, and then uses the rest of the unit to screen off the objective, I think that it's going to be very hard for Enzo with his Lumineth to then take that back. Avial in the chat, what turn is it? This is turn 2, sir. We are at the top of turn 2, with Daughters of Cain currently double turning the Lumineth army.
Yeah, they are double turning it. Okay, so in a change of fates, the unit of Bloodstalkers have only killed 3 Sentinels. That rerolls to hit. Gonna have come into play there, and protection of Techless also apparently doing very well in tanking some of those. So that that's not bad. Like he's going to be really happy about that, because at this point, there's also just a big conversation about bodies on the board. That's also another issue here. Like the Techlian army started with 67 bodies, no, 67 bodies on the board, and about the same for the Daughters of Cain. About the same bodies, but they've already started to whittle them down a lot. The charge phase, though, is going to be massive. It's going to be massive. And I can't wait to see what he rolls on the charges. Let us know when it happens, Table Boss. Can he get a long bomb charge from this unit of Blood Sisters? Okay.
Here we go.
So this is the unit on the far right. So they have rolled a 9. 9 on that unit. Because they're in Scath Coven, do they get to roll an extra dice? Is that what Scath Coven does?
No. No, there's no 3. I'm sure there's no 3d6 charge in the Lumineth. In the Daughters of Cain book.
Oh, it was a mistake. That's good. All right.
They're good, but they're not that good.
Okay, so yeah, that missed. And then the big brick in the middle, this is the big charge. Oh, they have rolled an 8. That's going to be enough to get them in. I hope he takes the right-hand side. That's important. I don't think he wants to, he shouldn't just let the army just... What do you think, Owen? Do you go over onto the far right-hand side, or do you just clear up this centerpiece of the board?
I think I would just clear up the center, personally, because when he's got Life Swarm, it's a bit like when you play a Death Army. It's better to kill one unit dead, totally dead, rather than... whittling away on a couple, but it does look like he's he's got Battle Shock immunity. The Wardens like to be charged though, because they get rend when you charge them, and with a 5-up save, he could lose quite a few snakes here. This is a pretty key charge. I'm not. He's in danger of spreading himself a bit thinly and not doing enough to either unit.
Yeah, that's what I meant about the target priority. Someone asking in the chat, the Bloodstalkers, don't forget, went into that Sentinel. Also, don't forget, he's charging into the Cenari Cathala range. Loads to talk about there. Most importantly, the weeping sadness of this Lady of the Lake. She can pass a battle shock test from a friendly unit to an enemy unit. And I think that is going to be key. Because now He's got the Sentinel unit. He could pass some wounds over to the Blood Sisters. He's got the maybe Warden unit. He could pass some wounds over to the Sisters. So I think that's something to consider here. But it looks like he's not too stressed about that. And he's just going all in. Yeah, but thank you, Dwarf Penguin. Owen, you were about to tell me the same. Go for it.
Yeah, Scath Coven, mate. Battleshock immune. He doesn't give a hell. He doesn't give a damn about all his tricks. That's why this is actually a really good matchup for Daughters, because obviously goading arrogance, which is the trait coming off the Cathalar, is great for shutting down your big combat your big combat monster or hero like an Archaon. And then, he doesn't care about the battle shock tricks. He doesn't care about the bravery tricks. I think the only thing that's really been a thorn in the side for Dayton is Total Eclipse. But it does look like he is not engaging the Wardens on the side. Maybe he wants to tag them. Maybe he's just going to tag the edge of that Warden unit to protect the other one. But yeah, I prefer what he's doing here rather than spreading himself too thinly. I think putting one Blood Sister 2.9 inches away from the end of that unit of Wardens might be a cute little play, but I think he might just be going for screening out the objective. Yeah, not sure. But yeah, I prefer this. I prefer him going into the centre like this rather than splitting himself up too much.
That's fine. I think both armies obviously suffering a little bit emotionally. Truthfully, like Teclis, a lot of hatred going to be directed from these Blood Sisters at Teclis. Teclis obviously a key instrument narratively in helping draw the souls out of the big man himself, Sinesh, to reforge and recreate these Blood Sisters made in Morathi's image. And so they're going to be looking to kind of like thank him, but thank him in their own way by like stabbing him in the eye, which is a classic Daughters of Cain tactic. So there's a nice little bit of story here. I will say that I think we've had a lot of elf stuff over the past couple of years from Age of Sigmar, but it has really kind of set up the factionalization of the elves quite nicely, and we've ended up with like a lot of the story, which I think is good. I think it's good when you see them on the tabletop and playing against each other. You can kind of pitch where they're at. They very much feel like Warhammer Fantasy Battle nations at war. Like they are these city-states really. With these, they're a little bit more disenfranchised from each other than just being city-states, but they're still elves at the end of the day, and therefore the worst. That's the science.
Hush your mouth. Hush your mouth. As an elven player, hush thy mouth. I think we've seen a flask of gleaming Hishian light come out from one of the units. I think one of the units, one of the units of Sentinels. Oh, sorry, it was the Wardens have used their once per game special flask to do some mortal wounds, I believe. I'm not sure. Oh, and he rolled a 1. Wow. When it's not your day, it's not your day, is it, Rob? Jesus. No. He rolled a 1 on his 2 + D3 mortal wounds. So those snakes are unscathed on the way in.
Do you think that they are gonna do you think they're gonna kill everything that we see here? I think the Wardens are probably in a tough spot, to be honest. It's a big activation. But most importantly, if we zoom up to the tabletop, he's almost forced to bring the Wardens over from the far right-hand objective now into the center to fight the Blood Sisters to keep Teclis safe. Because, of course, 660 points should just be babysat at the back of the board doing absolutely nothing. That is how you spend 660 points in Age of Sigmar. That's what I tend to do, Owen. I put all of it at the back of the board doing nothing.
Me too, man. Tactic. I take my 6 units of Shadow Warriors and they just sit in the corner, and I'm just look at how beautiful they are. No, I think there's a question in the chat from Groti Woti. There isn't a Lawmaster in the Lumineth list because Broken Realms Teclis is not available to be used at this tournament because there's no FAQ. So yeah, no Lawmaster. It's very much a Lumineth 1.0 list that we're looking at here. But these sisters should blend. It's a shame they haven't got reroll wounds, but they should really blend here.
They should. 3 attacks each, 3s and 3s. They are against Shining Company, though, so it's going to be 4s and 3s, and there's going to be no reroll 1s. They are in turn 2, though, so if I'm right in thinking they get reroll 1s to hit? Is that where we're at in the Blood Rights table?
I think it's reroll 1s to charge. Headlong Fury is round round 2. So next turn he's going to get reroll 1s to hit from Zealous Rage. But they'll still do, I mean, 3s and 3s, they'll still do a lot of work here. Is it 3 attacks apiece, Rob?
3 attacks apiece, 3s and 3s. But against Shiny Company, it's going to be 4s and 3s. Rend 1 damage. And don't forget, at the end, they're also going to pop a bunch of mortal wounds. The Snake Ladies hold hands, they scream into the sky, and then they pop mortal wounds out of their eyes, I think, like a Medusa, and burn a few more people each. Which is going to probably put pay to most of this unit. And then we're just sat with 20 Wardens, Techless, and 5 Dawn Riders. Oh, but they've only killed 4 Wardens. They've not even killed 6 Snakes. So that would have been 18 attacks. Wow. And they still, don't forget, they've got a 3-up armor save. They've got a 5-up DPR. So those 3 Wardens are going to get to strike back. And they're still pretty good in the fight. 2 attacks each. Doing mortal wounds on 5s. 6 attacks. So they're still going to do pretty decent. The Sentinel's not quite as good in a fight, unfortunately. Unless, of course, which is why I like the Wind Chargers as well, because they have Rend in close combat with their bow. And I think that's a really nice feature. I like light cavalry with bows to have Rend in combat. It makes a ton of sense to me.
Yeah.
So more of that in the future, please. I don't know about you, Owen.
Mate. If they don't have Rend in combat, they're not a skirmishy sort of cavalry a horse archer, are they? So one thing to bear in mind, whilst they've only got a 5-up save, that is 40 wounds he's now put in the face of his opponent. I think we're going to have to see Techless combat Techless. I mean, he's not got huge amounts of units to be able to affect the game here. So I think Techless is going to have to go in.
Finally! Always what I've been waiting for this for ages, to talk about Techless combat profile, Owen. I've been hype about this. I thought I'd never do I thought I'll stream a game for over a year and I'll never see Techless ever actually charge a thing ever. He's got a shooting attack which does D6 damage, which most people forget, which is 18 inches. And then he's got his Sword of Techless, which, can we talk about naming your own sword after yourself? Like, I don't want to quote the Hound from Game of Thrones, but lots of people name their swords. You can look up the video, yeah? But, like, imagine naming the sword after yourself.
It's a bit like when you go to school and you write your name onto your pencil. I always remember cutting a little bit of the wood off and writing his name. So he's like, "This is the sword of Techless. I am Techless. This is my sword, the sword of Techless." You know what I mean? And then it's like, "These are the pantaloons of Techless." People have joked about it on the internet and they don't like the new sculpt, but these are the pantaloons of Techless. So I bet he walks around. I just can imagine him now going around naming everything like that. Breakfast of Techless was delicious this morning. I like talking to himself in the mirror.
This hat of Techless looks perfect. Anyway, so his Sword of Techless is 2 attacks, 4s, 2s, Rend 3, damage D3. So that's pretty incredible. Better Rend than the Slayer of Kings. I just want to point that out for the Owen. Slayer of Kings, -2, the Sword of Techless, -3. And then the Moonbright Talons on the Mount of Techless, doesn't say that, but it should. 6 attacks, 3s, Rend 2 damage. So he can do some good work. I'm surprised he's not thrown into combat more, to be honest. Just want to catch you guys up in the ongoing combats here and activations. Like we said, we lost 5 of the Wardens. Then the 3 Wardens struck back and they killed 2 of our Blood Sisters back in close combat. That's what we've seen there. And now we've got all of the Sentinels trying their hardest to strike back. And did we lose no Sentinels in close combat? We need to find out from our tables. 1 from the red unit and none from the black unit. So I've got to say, he's going to be over the moon about that. It's survived more than we thought, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just laughing at the chat. Yeah. I mean, that's very underwhelming. I think that sort of whiff, I think we can call it a whiff. I think the only mistake Dayton's made this turn with what he's done is, I really do think that the right hand edge of the unit of Blood Sisters, as the viewers look at it, that far right hand model should have really tagged in the edge of the other Wardens. I really think that he could have tagged in those Wardens. The ones that are being removed now, actually, they should be tagging the end of the Wardens. I feel
so
because
they should have been here. Like, they should have been within 3, so then the
Yeah,
best he had was a
precisely.
really bad pile-in.
Yes. And that would have helped control that unit for at least a turn, because over a double, that unit can still do a lot of work and get onto the objectives. But yeah, a really underwhelming combat there from the sisters after we gave them the big up.
We gave them a big up, and we are talking about a 520-point unit. Like, but to be fair, all the Aether Quartz reserve has gone. So this unit of Wardens on the bottom left, they've used theirs. But both units of Sentinels have either used theirs fully up or used some. However, we are now using the Mortal Wounds at the end of combat from the Blood Sisters and choosing the Black Sentinels. I'd just be getting rid of the Wardens. Just get them gone. Like,
I'm going for. I reckon this is going to be 7 Mortal Wounds.
We'll just find out how many he's done. I think Taylor Watts did say. So these are the... He's rolled 12, and he's rolled Protection of Techless, but he's just wiped the unit in one go there. So he's just done 10 out of that unit. Wow. Yeah, that's impressive. That is impressive. I don't know. I think maybe I'd still taken the Wardens, but I guess he's taken out that whole shooting unit now. And the Wardens are pretty much done. So... that's going to be interesting, who he decides to... So he's sat on some command points. He's sat on a command point if he wants to use that to make it so that Teclis can make someone ignore Battle Shock. And then the Cathalar has used her ability on the remaining Warden. She's passed the 2 up. And then command pointing the Sentinels. So all command points gone, and we're at the end of turn 2, the double turn for the Daughters of Cain. And I think I'm a little underwhelmed, generally, Owen, with that double turn. I don't think he did anything bad. I just think the reroll wounds not going off was really important into the Blood Sisters. We didn't see it go down. And now we get to see the Sword of Teclis attack. That's how it's said now. And only that.
I think the only other little misstep I would have said on Dayton's play there, and I'm not here to criticise the players per se, but that little 5-man unit of Stalkers that's on the far left, if he'd have just moved them up 2 more inches and walked onto the objective, it would have meant that Enzo can't just move the 5 Dawn Riders over and nick the objective, and that's the primary objective as well. So that's a 3-point swing there in Enzo's favour, just because those Stalkers didn't move up a couple of inches. Often I'm always looking at the numbers on the objectives just to be like, I'm going to put 6 on there, so a 5-man unit and a hero, just so they can't just walk on and grab it. Because he's obviously measuring it now. It does appear that those Dawn Riders will just walk over and get themselves 3 points.
Which is pretty, yeah. I'll tell you
what's over.
Yeah, I don't know if they walk. They are trot. I think hack out is I've been learning a lot of horse terms recently, so I think a Dawn Rider is something like 17 to 20 hands. Oh no, it'll be a shorter horse because it won't be a big horse. It'll be a flatland pony, so probably like a 16-hander, and that's as much as I know about horses. So never ask me again.
I thought that horses had hooves. Otherwise, Rob's horse curious, is he? I see. Nice.
Yeah. Well, you stick a lady on a horse, it's very much like a centaur lady.
Hey, Rob, I've got. Do you want to know? I've got a little bit of information. I don't know the game state, but do the viewers want to know what else is at the top of the?
I would love to, because obviously this is round 4, so this is Lumineth's turn 2 of a 4-round event. Both these players have won the first 3 matches. This is looking to take their 4th and go into the final bracket. Owen, there's a bunch of other players who obviously are in this bracket as well. Let us know. Please do.
Yes, so we've basically got 5 tables, so 10 players haven't lost a game yet. So this is down table 5, and then on table 4, you've called it, Rob, Leo Bilton, Zinch, Guild of Summoners, with 70 pink horrors on this mission.
Best list in the event.
He is facing off against Mac, which is Marcus Fredrickson, I believe. I hope I didn't get his name wrong. And he's playing the Caradron Overlords, the Barak Thring, with the Celestant Prime and the 20 Hearthguard Berserkers, that's my pick, actually, Rob. This is actually a grudge match.
Nice, let's go.
And then we've got Buckets with a Nurgle Blight Kings list on table 3 against Oliver Dempsey with Daughters of Cain Calibron. That's actually a Canadian civil war there, two Canadian players facing off against each other. And then table 2 is a Tzeentch Archaon mirror match. So Alan, who we saw on the stream yesterday, with Victor. And then table 1 is Audum, Leonardo. He is running Daughters of Cain Hagnar, and he's got Steve Follows, who you know if you watch the stream, again with a Tzeentch Archaon. So potentially we're going to see another Tzeentch Archaon in Game 5 because they're smashing it up. Table 6
what's the battle plan for Game 5?
Game 5, we're playing Total Conquest. Best game in the book. Yeah,
nice.
So we're sure we'll be down for a nail biter. But anyway, that's
I want everyone to know that I 100% am covering the 70 pink horrors if they've won. Like 100%. Yeah. So into that. Like it's just unreal.
Game 3 yesterday was 70 pinks versus 120 stabbers, and they did it in 3 hours, and I applaud them greatly. What a bunch of legends! But yeah. It's
actually easier to play horrors on TTS than in real life. That's a lot of backache. There's a lot of moving models around. I'm just going to say that outright. But yeah, Twitch chat, join us for the horror list. I'm kind of rooting for that horror list, to be honest, by the way, because it's my pick for the tournament. So I want to see how it does and keep track. So yeah, that's going to be really fun. And it should pretty much auto-win shifting objectives. I don't see how it really loses. Like, KO can just try and gun their hardest into a unit, and it's not going to work. They're like, yes, I killed 10 binks. Like, fine. So many, because it's basically 350 wounds, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Barrack Thring player messaged me this morning, like, oh, thanks for the draw, obviously in jest. And it's like, he's got one of the scariest combat arm units in the game, in a unit of Hearthguard Berserkers, and a load of gribbly, bloody pink wallies will just be like... Whenever I see horrors, all I think of are those amazing wobbly-armed, like, inflatable things outside of, like, garages and stuff. And they make that sound effect.
Yeah. So, they just sound like Murlocs on World of Warcraft, is what I've always thought. Yeah,
exactly. I'm not about it. I'm not about it at all, man. I'm about elegant elves and, golden warriors. Not a load of gribbly arseholes who keep multiplying all the time. Anyway, but yeah, love you Tzeentch players. Pinks for life, right?
Yeah, pinks for life. Now, I just want to point out we're still in the hero phase. So you're like, oh, get back to the game, lads. Don't worry, we missed, but nothing. Thanks to our incredible table boss, Matt, the intern. We have seen the Unbound spell portal, and then we've seen it recast. So we're about to see the Technado in all of its glory. It's going to be... we just had a note on the stream. Why so early, Owen? Is the note. I'm not sure.
It's not so early here, man. If you choose to live in a different country, then that's on you.
That's on you. So yeah, the... we're going to see the Technado go off, so it's going to affect everything within 18 inches. Looking to pop mortal wounds on pretty much everything, so that's going to be really key. We've also seen, I think we've still seen all of the other spells go off. So we've had the mortal wounds go off again on the Wardens on the right. That's going to be pretty important to get that off. Oh, those are from last turn, so we haven't taken those off. Okay, so he's done it in the right order. So we have had the... Umbral Spell Portal Unbound in the first thing you do in a hero phase, and then recast. So that was the contemplation phase. Was the entire length of us talking about pink horrors. So
yep, and we're still in it. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I really do like this snake list because it's fast to play. They're lovely models. It's got punch. You've got ranged threat, and you've got amazing combat threat. So, but yeah, this is the. I mean. Get ready, peeps. This hero phase, it's going to be 50% longer because this is going to have 50% more spells moving forward. So you give a gamer loads and loads and loads of options, and they're going to then need time to process those options based on which levers they want to pull given what they're facing, and that's why the Lumineth army is a really tricky one. When we go back to playing games in the tabletop, it's going to take 20 minutes to have the army explain to you, right? I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this in combination with that. Lumineth players are going to have a lot of responsibility on making sure that their opponent knows what their stuff does, because they've just got so many options, right?
So many options. Lee Bromley says, does Matt the Intern play OS, or do you think we're all a bunch of losers? He does play AOS. A lot of people want to know about the man, the myth, the legend, our table boss extraordinaire. Matt the Intern collects Lumineth Realm Lords. He has picked himself up recently. Check this out, a Venari Banner Blade. That's right. That is the absolutely toss. That's the correct word to describe it. Banner bearer for the new Lumineth. And he liked it. He picked it up because he liked how it looked. So that'll give you some indication. He's basically a legend. Yeah. He was.
Somebody told him that it was Banner of the World Dragon, and he's a gamey bastard, and that's how. He's just told me he hates me over the chat. So no, but Matt's the glue that binds this whole shebang together, isn't he, Rob? Without Matt, we are nothing.
Without Matt, we are nothing. He is a godsend. Okay. Right, so just to let you know what's happening on the tabletop. Speedy Heesh has been cast on the Wardens. So they've came over into the middle like we expected, and they have broken the Shining Company. I'm not sure how they do that when that happens. I think one of the elves just slaps the other elf on the ass and is like, get to it, lads. I think that's how or they stop holding hands. I don't know how it works, like narratively. Those Dawn Riders doing exactly what Owen expected, moving over to the far left-hand side. They're outscoring that unit of Bloodstalkers, and they could even charge into the other unit of Bloodstalkers next turn if they get the charge off and hold them up. Hold that shooting up so it's only going to go into the Dawn Riders. We'll see if that's what they decide to do. Maybe they'll just charge into this first unit of Bloodstalkers, to be honest, Owen, and try and take that 5 out. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think they
ran, so they won't. They won't.
Yeah, but yeah, that would be the if he doubles him here, that would be the play. Charge, and much like what we were describing, we wanted Dayton to do with that unit of snakes. You can charge, punk the 5, and then tag in the others so that they. That is one limitation, Rob, about Dayton's list as opposed to the Marathi build, is that when you can shoot in the hero phase and you can shoot in the shooting phase, if you do get tagged, you can free yourself in the shooting phase and then shoot what you want to shoot in the shooting phase. Whereas he doesn't have that option here, so he is susceptible to the tag here. It looks like he's actually just stepping back and just looking to put three on the objective and keep them in. No, he can't put them in Shining Company because they ran. But anyway, that I really hope that mistake from Dayton there doesn't come back to bite him on the bum, because just 2 more inches of movement and that would have denied 3 points there, because 1 point for the objective, 1 point for it being the primary objective, and 1 point for battle line. Wow. So I think 9-3. How do we think if this goes perfectly for Enzo? How do we think the scoring is going to be at the end of this?
He's gonna get the 3 on the side, like you said, 2 in the center. So that's going to bring him up 5. So that's going to put him on 8, and he's just not going to get on the other. So it's going to end up 9-8 with the priority roll going his way. He's going to pick up another 5 points definitely off the bat. And I think one of the major problems here is his beat up unit. So his unit of Blood Sisters, so 520 points, is about to evaporate because of this unit of Wardens. And like you said, I think having tagged them up before would have been interesting. I don't think if going in the centre was the right play. Like I say, I think I would have liked to have whittled these down on the far right-hand side. But again, Total Eclipse is really Total Eclipse showing itself in its power in stuff not happening. It's hard to describe what it's doing well other than sing-song, and I'm not singing Total Eclipse of the Commander ability. No, I'm not singing that today. Okay. So, it's... but I try really hard to make this fun, but...
Love you, Rob.
Yeah, same bud. I'm having a great time. I hope everyone in the Twitch chat's having a good time too. What do you all think? I think this game might go on longer than we necessarily gave it credit for based on the priority roll.
Yeah, I think so. And a couple of just a few very small margins there on Dayton side. I've got a report from Table 1, Rob.
Oh, yes.
A big 19-1 win for Steve follows. So Zeech Archeon, piloted by Steve, that's one of the unbeaten lists now in the tournament. So that's going to be up on the top tables. He beat the Hagnar daughters. Yes,
wow.
quite.
Okay, so Teclis is failed his shooting attack, which does do D6 damage, so that's not in there as well. So again, that's Zeech Archeon. Owen, do you think Zeech Archeon would play as well in real-life tournaments? Do you think we might see a bunch of those when we get back to playing in real-life tournaments?
Yes.
Oh,
Definitely.
That's it. Simple, yes.
Yeah,
really
man.
Strong.
We're going to see it. Unless, there's rumors of AOS 3. Unless that changes the game significantly, a huge combat monster that you can buff up, backed up by excellent summoning, being able to guarantee doing things, magical, excellent magic. It's going to be. It is definitely going to be everywhere, and there's going to be sky sharks everywhere, Rob. Which I'm sure you'll be happy about.
Yeah, it's very important to me that, of course, that at least always there's some sky sharks in the list, and really that's what makes them so good. Yeah. Just a huge fan. Just a huge fan of the build, and you're going to see it a lot. We've seen a lot on Tabletop TTS over the past few months, and I just wondered if we thought it would kind of transfer over. There we go. We've had a big charge there, but we needed a command point reroll to get him in. So a CP spent to get that unit to turn it into a 7-inch charge. Now, not forgetting they've got 3-inch range weapons, so they're still going to be able to get quite a lot of attacks there. 2 attacks each on 3 inches, but then, probably get most of them in, maybe not all of them. And we're going to see those Blood Sisters die. I'm going to say. Don't forget they're immune to Battle Shock, though. So, I think they're going to be good. Owen, let's say we lose half the unit of Blood Sisters. Where are you taking the unit? Where are you taking your dead pile from? Let's say you kill half. And then where are you going to put your attacks back in activation? Because Lumineth only get 2 charging units activated, right? Not 2 units in a row. 2 charging units.
I think it's just two units, man. That's
okay.
it.
Never mind then. Never mind. I thought it was 2 charging units. So, I mean, they might still only lose half, but they probably won't. They're probably all going to die.
So, Techless is not going in. Have we had that? Oh, no, we're still in the charge phase, aren't we? I mean, it's pretty rough here. And again, I don't want to bang the drum, but again, if he'd have just tagged them in, they wouldn't be doing any of this. They would have gone nowhere. Personally, I would look to maintain the troops that are around that yellow unit of wardens, just because I'd be looking to just continue scoring units off the board. So I would keep those. So Teclis is not going in, the big man. So no Sword of Teclis.
No Sword of Teclis not going in. I cannot believe that. One time, use 660 points for something viable. Dear goodness. You could activate with him first and then activate with all the wardens after. He's so safe. He's so safe. He's such a jerk. Do something. Just...
So on Zeech, on the subject of Zeech Archeon, we've got 2 opposing views in the chat. So we've got Audum, who was Steve's opponent, just coming off that loss. Zeech Archeon is disgusting. What an unfun game. So it is pretty horrible. But then on the flip side, Studio Earthwood in the chat saying, I'm actually painting Archeon and Kairos for Steve follows next month. So of course we're gonna see it on the table. But having faced Steve with that list twice now, it's really horrible. And you look at the list and there's no bodies. But anyway, we're not talking about that. We'll probably be talking about Zeech Archeon in the next round, won't we, Rob? Because I'd imagine, there's no way that he's not going to be up fighting for the title. Let's see what these wardens can do.
Well, so they've just used their Aether Quartz for +1 to hit. So they're going to be doing even more damage as well. And I think his... shelf loathing. I think a lot of people are still just talking about Teclis. Teclis did try to charge, though. I want everyone to know Teclis did try to charge, but only rolled a 4. So, I think that's interesting. And I think, if you talk about what you would get if you drop Teclis out of this list, 660 points, 2 units of wind charges, they're 140 each, that's 280. So you've still got a bunch of points there. Sorry, they're 130 each. Dear God. Dear God. Dear God. So, 2 unit wind charges, I think, really, really solid. You could stick yourself a Severith in if you wanted. I don't think I would, but you could. Or you could throw yourself in a Wind Spirit anyway. And I think that's going to add some like real strength to your list. A Wind Mage could be something quite fun to add in as well. Lawmaster even. If you, Law Seeker even if you wanted to mess with your opponent's first turn by deploying it in their deployment zone and banging an endless spell through. Because when you're looking at Teclis, he's not really 660 points. He's actually 660 plus Umbral Spell Portal. So he's actually base on top. And then the Auralan Legion is another, 140 points? I think for the Auralan Legion. So 210. So you're actually spending 870 points on on making something a drop and then a buff piece. So, ask yourself what you could put into that Lumineth list for that volume of stuff. Feels like a lot. Feels like it could be a lot.
So we've got two great Warhammer minds have just put notes in the chat there with very differing opinions. We've got Studio Earth saying that you can get your budget, you can get budget Teclis by putting Cathalar with the spell on a Balewind, and then you have Holy within 15. You can have that. So that's one way to go if you want to save those points. Or Smorgan's suggesting perhaps just play open play and swap Teclis for 600 Skaven slaves.
Do you know what? I said this yesterday on Twitter, and I am just generally bored of just how much open play tweets I have to, because I tweet obviously to save humanity. That's what I do. That's why I tweet. Just bored of how much open play I'm seeing at the moment on Twitter. It's too much. I had to mute some accounts. I was just like, I don't need to keep seeing you taking your triple Nagash list.
I think we just need to keep open play out of the hobby, right? It's just there's
toxic.
no place.
Toxic.
It's a toxic community.
Yeah, they're so aggressive. They're so aggressively unable to build an army list. It's what they're doing. So we just let you know we had +1 to hit go on to the Wardens here, and they're attacking into the Blood Sisters. Am I right, Table Boss? I missed a bit. They've killed 5.5, or as I like to call that, that's 2 Yetis and a wound's worth of Blood Sisters there. So 9 wounds done. Oh, are they 3 wounds each, the Blood Sisters? No, that's right. 4, 9.
Currently, Table Boss Matt and Rob arguing over how many wounds a Yeti has and how that then affects. So he's not. He's not. So he's activating the second unit of Wardens, the Yellow Wardens now. You know what? Those Wardens, they're not amazing on the charge if he doesn't spike on the Sun Metal weapons, because they didn't really kill many sisters there, did they?
No, they killed 5. They had 5, which I honestly thought we were going to see a lot more go down. And those guys being immune to battle shock is going to be pretty important. Now, the Blood Sisters have got no buffs up. And also we didn't see Teclis cast, because he unbound Spell Portal, so that he could recast Spell Portal and put that out and then do some mortal wounds in kind of AoE. We didn't see Life Swarm, which he also has in his list, because you can only obviously cast 1 endless spell per wizard. We didn't see Life Swarm cast and try and bring back any of those Wardens, which I think is surprising. Wow. So Teclis actually did Voice of the Mountain instead. Okay. All right. Fascinating. See how that goes. That's a real open play move, is how I describe it.
Well, no, maybe he was looking to tie that in with Darkness of the Soul and to shut down a unit, because obviously it doesn't have any bearing on the Battle Shock phase. I've got another result from Table 6. I swear people are going to get bored of me saying the words Tzeentch Archaon. But yeah, basically there's a Tzeentch Archaon mirror match on Table 6. And Casper, one of the Danish guys behind the Battle of Copenhagen, he was ascendant in that mirror match. I think he's lost one Tzeentch Archaon mirror match and now he's won one. So that's a result from Table 6 that's just come in. Whoever wins this game will probably be facing Tzeentch Archaon, so something to look forward to there.
Is it? Is it
though?
Is it though? Is it? That's the real question. Right. Oh, look at the Blood Sisters. They've killed the 3 Wardens there in return. So there's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Blood Sisters of the Brick of 20. The centre, like everyone has said, has turned into a tickle fight. But the Blood Sisters doing okay. We've got a priority roll coming up at some point in the next few minutes. These combats still need to finish off in this combat phase. Sentinels have still got to attack. I'm sure he would have loved to have got Teclis in at this stage and used the sword of Teclis to do some more damage. And then I think it's interesting. I think Aviel saying, how are those Zinch mirror matches work? Archeon versus Archeon. I think that's fascinating. That's one of those things you don't generally tend to get in narrative matches, Owen, or open play, obviously. Because like we're all just taking 432 Stonehorns in open play. How many Stonehorns you have? 100. Okay, great. Yeah, one of the interesting bits would be, if you think about it, like how do the mirror matches work? And in match play, that's one of the things you tend to see a lot. And I find mirror matches to be fascinating because you've both got the abilities. Sometimes it just comes off to a roll off on who gets to go first. That's a thing. That's a thing. But mirror matches are especially important with 2 Kairoses Spider-Man-ing at each other. You I changed it. No, you changed it. No, you changed it. Okay.
Oh.
Right, so the snakes also still just rolling through because they've obviously had to split their attacks. They have still attacked into this unit of wardens and they've killed another 4. So the snakes actually, for the trade, they lost 5 snakes, but they've killed the whole brick of other wardens and they've started to chip into the brick of 20. They're down to 16, so 4 gone down. Yeah, like it's not been a particularly good trade for them.
Not really. I've got a few more results in, Rob. Apart from seeing all those skinks yesterday, we haven't really mentioned Seraphon much this weekend. But Ridge, one of the Season of War players, he's just beaten Lumineth on table 8. So Ridge with a Fangs of Sotek list. And another Zinch Archeon has just won as well. With our man Stuart Ironguts. Rob, he's put down the Yetis and he's picked up the Lord of the Everchosen. So yeah, Stuart with a host duplicitous, no retreat Zinch Archeon. He's also gone to 3-1. So it's going to be Zinch everywhere like that. Just a bird just going just as planned.
Don't worry. It's going to be super okay because we're just going to watch 70 pink horrors. Just blah, 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 blah. I don't even need anyone to commentate with me. I'm just gonna individually name in each pink horror and then just go through their backstory during the stream. It's gonna be really fun. Let's get really weird. That's what I want. Let's get super, super weird. Do you think there's a counter to the Zinch Archeon, Owen?
I mean, Steve, I played him with Khorne Archeon and he was like, you outrange me. I mean, a lot of people have tried, because a lot of people this weekend are putting a load of bodies down, but let me have a think.
Okay, you think about that. I'll catch everyone up. And another question I'd like to ask you is do you think he's problematic? Do you think there needs to be a points adjustment? So some mortal wounds came out of the Blood Sisters at the end of combat, and we lost even more wardens. So down 8 more wardens have gone down. So they've only got 12 left. And so that has been the end of that. And we have scored 7 points. Or no, haven't scored 7 points. Scored 4 points there.
Rob, I'm just appreciating Wolf 000 in the chat saying, so Zinch Mirror is a really horrible game.
Sorry,
yeah. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. Their priority roll has just occurred, and the important point is that the Lumineth have rolled a 2. However, Lumineth fans excited to know that Daughters of Cain then rolled a 1, meaning Lumineth have excitedly doubled into the double. This is Tom Layton yesterday after his first game of Age of Sigmar ever. Really a big fan of this. Getting double turned and then double turning back makes all things fair and balanced. Mini Wargaming, you are terrible. Just to throw that out there, just really quickly. So, yeah, like the double turn going to the Lumineth. They needed it, Owen, right? It's 9 points to 7. They're going to need to do something here. How do you feel about it?
I mean, all he's really going to be able to do is consolidate. I mean, a lot of stuff is kind of tagged in there. So all that's going to happen is, the wardens are going to wait. I don't think he can clear the remaining Blood Sisters in the center to be able to then charge into the cauldron. I just don't think he's actually Technado. You know what? He might be able to. I would be pumping everything into that middle unit to free them up. So it's going to be pretty key as to what he can get into that unit in the center to free them up, and then dominate the center of the board.
Okay. Yeah. But we're into the turn for the Lumineth Realm Lords. And we are into the first hero phase. Well, the hero phase into turn 3. Score is 9-7. 9-7. And I think we're going to be seeing another Technado here, Owen. I think that's maybe what we're going to see. And we might also see that Life Swarm finally cast, because he's going to need to do it, because he is dropping bodies very quickly.
Yeah, I think, yeah. And also, what's the point in putting it in the list if you're not going to use it? You know, a lot of people asking what counters it. I mean, to kill the Tzeentch Archaeon, there's a conversation going on there. The Daughters of Cain are an excellent. I think Dayton has beaten a Tzeentch Archaeon. Anything that can shoot at decent range before Archaeon can get in. So yeah, that would be my. And Sava's saying Bone Splitters, obviously, because big stabbers.
But not my Chaos Dwarf Fireglaves. They're only 16 inches. They're in a tough time. Damn it! But yeah, that's right. Dwarf Penguin. The true power is obviously 10 sharks. That's the right way to do it. Yeah, you just blitz him to pieces with razor shell harpoons. And I like the idea of him being beaten up by little like shells that the Ineth Deepkin have picked up off the sea. I imagine that's what they generally do anyway. They just like comb beaches for pretty looking shells. A bit like Charlie Day when he goes out to the beach one day and he finds glass and rock and then make that into their harpoons and fire them off. So that's my kind of mental image. Obviously, make your own mental image at home of how you think Lumineth perfect those razor shell harpoons, because I don't really know what they look like. They need a guide, like a drawn picture. Anyway, I'm just being weird.
Just vibing, man. Early. Just vibing.
Just vibing. I'd like to think I was stoned, but I'm not. I'm just this way naturally. So. We've just had Darkness of the Soul cast on the Blood Sisters. Is that correct? We'll just find out in a minute. On the Blood Stalkers. So Darkness of the Soul, Owen? Are you...
Yeah, that's where they... it's the bravery mechanic. So I believe it's a 2d6 roll, and it's either under or over the bravery, and they, to be able to action. It's like a Be'lakor. It's like a little Be'lakor. So he's looking to try and neuter that unit whilst he can, kill the other units. So yeah, that'll be the War Scroll spell from the Cathalar, which I believe he did that last turn as well, actually, because there was a red debuff token on them as well. So he's appreciating the threat there. I mean, those 20 stalkers could easily, pick off decent, maybe not kill Teclis, but they can neuter him, or they can pick off units. So that's the threat.
And he's comboed that with Voice of the Mountain again, which is -1 bravery board wide, right, Owen?
-2 on this turn, and -1 on Dayton's turn.
Okay, so yeah, that's gonna be important. Looking at the board though, like. Now it's just battling just to try and get rid of these Blood Sisters into the double, and there's still so many bodies on the board for Daughters of Cain. These Bloodstalkers can just move over onto the left. The center objective has become the priority one, right? That's the one that's important now. So I think that's going to be quite key for scoring some points, but there's still just another brick of Blood Sisters on the far left-hand side who are just doing whatever they want. I mean, maybe now's the time to start sending Teclis in, put him into combat, start doing all that damage. As we've seen, the Dawn Riders are moving up. They're looking to go into the Bloodstalkers here, and then take out that brick of 5. But then there's this very cheap, very powerful 160-point Bloodwreck Shrine here, which can do some shooting, can do some charging, and can potentially start dealing with these Dawn Riders as well. Maybe. So I still feel this flank is fairly secure. And there we go. Teclis is on the move. He's on the move. Is he looking? Is he going to try and tie up that unit of Blood Sisters or not? No, I think. And he casts Speed of Heesh on himself, which is why he's going so far, so fast. So it looks like he's going after the Melisite Iron Scale.
Interesting. I mean, Audum in the chat is not. He's not with us on this. He's like Techless in combat does not deal damage. What are you talking about?
His sword is named after himself. Come on.
Yeah. He talks to himself whilst looking at the reflection. Like, going to be a good day today. Yes, boss. You look amazing. Let's go kill some stuff. Woohoo!
I mean, Sigvald hasn't even called his sword after himself. Like. It's not the sword of Sigvald, is it? Like, and if anyone was going, the pomposity of that gentleman, like you would expect him to at least have done that, but no. Apparently, that's the most pompous thing in Age of Sigmar. I'm putting it out there. The most pompous thing in Age of Sigmar is naming your sword after yourself. That's it. That's what I'm going to say. Like, even Sigmar, who's got like a Stormcast chamber, the Hammers of Sigmar named after him. His hammer is called Galmoraz. It's not called Sigmar's hammer. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm sick of this. Sick of this is what I am. And by the way, this is the fun stuff you get when we don't have an infield reporter or 4 games to cover. This is why we cover 4 games, so my infill isn't anywhere near as weird. Yeah.
Mate, I'm here for the infill. I'm all I'm about. One thing, Rob, I'm not sure. Could we just clarify on the scoring with the table boss? Is it 9-7 or is it 9-8? I've got a feeling it's 9-8. It's a bit. It might be close. Just because the Dawn Rider's not battle line. I think the Dawn Rider's a battle line, so they would have scored 3. Right. So the table boss has just informed us that the Dawn Riders are not battle line in this build, so they did only get 2 points for the primary objective there. So I was wrong, Rob. So it is 9-7. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for the clarification. Planchette in the chat. Is also on that right there, but 9-7. There you go. No dramas. I know normally you would expect the overlay to be wrong in this version because I'm doing it, but normally when we do the TSN and Matt's table bossing with the proper overlays, it's almost always spot on. But today it's correct. I got it right. Don't worry.
I'm sorry for ever doubting you, sir.
Maybe he didn't name it. The reference is literally Teclis' sword. It's just a sword he wields. Yeah, I guess so, but it's more fun if we think he named it Teclis' sword. Right, so we're into the shooting phase for the Sentinels here. So that's the movement. That's what we've done. The Cathalars come out and get engaged. The Dawn Riders have moved. And the Dawn Riders have done the charge into the Bloodstalkers. And guess what they rolled? A double 1. That is not fast. Yeah. Out of range for a reroll. They are stood there doing nothing. Absolutely nothing. So that is a really unfortunate time. We saw the Sentinels shoot off another Blood Sister unit, and we've also seen... we've still got mortals to hit also on the Wardens as well, who are going to be engaged with the Blood Sisters. Teclis has made his charge, though, into the Bloodrack Shrine, and the Melisite Iron Scale has been pulled in as well. So I'm sure he'll be using his Aether Quartz. He's still got a stack of it there to make sure he's a little bit more survivable. Don't forget, this is turn 3, and the Lumineth have gone twice. So it's definitely going to be Daughters of Cain turn next. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a definite for everyone at home. Oh, no.
I think I think both players. Well, obviously this turn isn't over yet, but both players will probably. Depending on how this goes, I would imagine that both players might be a little bit disappointed about what they've achieved over the course of a double. I mean, that double 1, that stinks like a. That's really unfortunate for him to roll that double 1 there. That's probably going to really hurt him now. Yeah,
because he wants to clear this unit of Bloodstalkers at least. Just that alone, just to reduce the bodies. But now he's going to get the Bloodrack Shrine is going to charge in, and also the Bloodstalkers. So Teclis not using any Aether Quartz this turn round. Interesting. I don't think the Avatar... Is the Avatar naturally awake on turn 3? Or does he have to wait for his hero phase for it to be awake? But the Avatar on top of the...
That's a very good question. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's an excellent question. I don't know if they need a hero phase to, yeah, like you say, to activate it.
To wake up. But I thought it was in turn 3 they're all awake. So Avatar is awake. So interesting. So maybe the Avatar will start slapping Tekla some. We have seen, unfortunately, 4 wounds already put into the cauldron of blood there. So it's down to 7. Appreciate everyone in the chat helping me out.
I still don't like that charge. I mean, what's he achieving there? Battle line is super important on this. So, I mean, it's not as if he's trying to kill the hero so that he can battle shock off the snakes because, you know, they're battle shock immune. Interesting choice of where to go there.
Oh, he's gone. Did he kill him? So we'll just double check right now, what the damage profile is.
And he's obviously got his 6-up.
He's got a 6-up Fanatical Faith. Again, I know, I don't know, someone was in the chat earlier was saying he's not doing... Okay, so he's not dead. He's not dead. They just over-egged how much damage they thought Texas had done. So he's done 5. So he's down to 2 wounds. Only 2 wounds left on the Bloodrack Shrine. So Hag Queen on Cauldron of Blood. 13 wounds with a 5-up save, not forgetting that blood shield, so it's going to add +1, so it's going to have a 4-up armor save. But Texas has got some pretty good rend. But will the Avatar do some good work is the real question. 4 attacks, Owen, 3s, rend 2, 3 damage. Could see Tekla take a mighty slap in this situation.
Oh yeah, and then you've got all the sort of the attendants. I think the cauldron is very much not a buff piece. It can really do a lot of work. I mean, there is an argument that he's tagged it in, so he's denied it the impact hits from charging. But still, that Hag Queen on Cauldron is a bit of a menace. Yeah, got a number of profiles to go through there. So I would expect Tech to take a few wounds here.
Interesting. And even the Iron Scale. Iron Scale not brilliant in a fight. But, you know, not terrible. I'm just going to try and get the
I think it's 3 attacks, 3s, rend 1, D3 damage, and then the Iron Scale's also got the artifact that does mortal wounds, I believe, the Whisper Death. So, yeah, I mean, the double team there, those two could take out Teklis with some good rolling, because it is turn 3, so he's re-rolling ones to hit here. Dayton is. Yeah, a bit of a strange decision, I think, going in there. I don't really know. Okay, you kill the Cauldron. What does that benefit? I don't understand what that benefits, but
me either. You know. It's about taking out those Blood Sisters.
And it's easy being an armchair viewer, right? Armchair general is the easiest job in the world.
Excuse me, it's actually really hard. Give me a great opportunity to mention that we do have a Patreon if anyone would like to join and support us for doing this content. So thank you very much. Wow, so there you go. The Wardens being the second unit to activate for Luminath Realm Lords this combat phase have gone super hard. They've taken out all of the, well, not all of the Blood Sisters. They took out 4 Blood Sisters. There are still 4 left. So there are still 4 left though, and they're going to get to activate now. There's actually no more there's the Sentinels to activate for the Lumineth, and then it's all slapback. So we might see more Wardens go down. Don't forget the Mortal Wounds to come out afterwards. This unit of Blood Sisters is also immune to Battle Shock as well, because of the Scath Coven. And we've still got both of these 2 characters to go into Teklis. And then we've got the priority, not the priority role, we've got turn 3 for Daughters of Cain. And honestly, I mean, this looks really good for Daughters of Cain at this point. They've got the charge, if they want to, off from the Blood Sisters. They could like line a unit back and just leave 1 on the objective and throw those into Teklis as well if they want to engage in that fight. They've also got the Bloodstalkers here who could either shoot into the Wardens or just shoot into the Dawn Riders and take these guys out as well as the impact hits and damage coming, and the shooting. Sorry, let me just get this right. The shooting, the impact hits, and the combat from the Bloodrat Medusa going into the unit of Dawn Riders. So there's a lot of output to come from the Daughters of Cain army here to clear up some stuff. Then I feel like it's very much going to be in Daughters of Cain favour. We will see how this game obviously plays out, but it's looking very good, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem a shame, but what do you think about the 10 combat snakes, the Blood Sisters that are, just chilling on their objective over on the right flank? Do you send them in? Do you just back them up? Okay. How do you feel about that, Rob? What do you think on Dayton's turn he's going to do? I think we're going to see Teclis take a few punches to the face here.
So I think he's going to just charge them in. If I'm 100% honest with you, Owen, I think just string them back so you've got 3 or 4 back onto the objective, and then just put them all in and punch Teclis out. Teclis isn't even that important, really. But it's still still think it'd be worthwhile to take them out, and also give the Wardens something that they have to target next turn. But really, Teclis needed to take out a significant portion of this, not Teclis, the Lumineth, and they're just down numbers, right? Even these Wardens can get pinged away now. Actually, to be honest, the only real threat that's even around now is these Dawn Riders for taking out the objective. If they're gone, they just don't have anything left on the board, really. Teclis maybe. I don't think Teclis can even go fight the Blood Sisters. He's pretty good though. I think he's quite fighty. I'd use him a little bit more aggressively than I see people play him as. Especially maybe in the future with the Wind Mage spell for the be able to heal himself. I think that could be important. But yeah, I mean he's no Morathi and he's no Archeon, I guess. But
no.
I mean the fact that he was sat there for 2 turns, not really. I mean he did try to charge him last turn, so that's fair.
Yeah.
So I think there's that.
I mean, you say that you think he's a bit hitty, but I reckon the overall feeling my moment is that he's going to be a bit deady in a bit because he's yeah.
Okay, so he's so in the slapback. Was that just from the Cauldron, or was that with the Iron Scale? Okay, so currently the Cauldron of Blood and the Iron Scale have struck back into Teclis, and he's down to 6 wounds remaining of his 16. However, the Cauldron is still fighting. And I'm sure the Avatar would have been a significant portion of that. But I don't think he's going to be taken out now. But that's pretty good. Let's be honest, Owen. You can't be you could just stick in that fight next turn and probably just have Teclis off the board.
Yeah. I think it was crazy to put. I mean, we've been imploring Teclis to do something, but I wouldn't have thought that, to be honest with you. Even if because obviously his Dawn Riders are over on the other side, and if they don't fail that charge, then he's going to hold that objective and have punked and killed those 5 Bloodstalkers. So what everyone likes fighting inside of Teclis's bubble. So I just don't know why he didn't bring him over and maybe change his focus to the 2 objectives, center and left, whereas his focus earlier was center and right, and then just make that unit of 10 sisters on the right hand side. Basically, they're not going to have any effect on the game. Although he can teleport any unit, can't he?
He can.
God,
he can.
It's a good book, isn't it? This
also, so the Blood Sisters have killed another 4 Wardens in combat, putting the Wardens down to 5. So they are losing bodies very quickly as time goes on. And yeah, Teclis took another wound, so he's actually down to 5 wounds left. That's where we're at. And that's pretty much, I think, the shape of the board. I think maybe the Sentinels are going to get to pile in and maybe take out some more Blood Sisters. But that's going to be the shape of it, with Daughters of Cain going in for the next turn after this. And I think that is going to be. I think we're going to lose Teclis. I think we're going to lose the Dawn Riders, and I think we're going to lose the Sentinels. And I think that's game, Owen. Unless the dice go mad, which they can do, they can do.
Do you know what my learning is here, Rob? Do you know what my learning is? That Scath Coven, those 20 sisters, whilst he didn't maybe do as the optimal amount of output, they did a lot, but they've effectively tagged in most of Enzo's army for 3 turns, and that it's because of that battle shock immunity, right?
It's a really good point.
And if you think the things I've been thinking about Daughters recently are, okay, so if you're running a death army, you've got a 6-up death save, a 6-up DPR. That's you have to have a hero in range. Daughters of Cain, board wide. The Calibron -1 to hit, board wide. There's no, and even when they do have ranges, then they're very they're very forgiving because you've got wholly within. I believe it's 24 for Morathi's command ability. They've just got those little fine things that just tip, and then Blood Rights tables. Just tip them over the edge. It is a really, really good book, and we're probably going to see, like you say, the strength of the book now going into this turn 3. I think we might have GG, right?
We might have GG, and big love for both players in this match, Enzo and Dayton. Big fans of both of them playing this game out to see where it takes us to. And thank you to everyone for joining us live. You can join us again for the next round starting at 1 p.m. UK time, so British BST or GMT, 1 p.m. That'll be the 5th round. And we'll see. More than likely, it'll be a Zinch matchup versus someone. Zinch Mirror, Zinch 70 Pinks. Maybe we get Dayton matched into the 70 Pinks, which would be my dream. To hear him wailing. Maybe we could get player audio, just hear him going, "Why won't you die?" Which I would love to hear, which would be really, really fun. And then looking at taking out the event. Owen, is there any factions right now that could take out the event that aren't Zinch?
I'm just literally having a look at the top 10 as it stands. At the top 10 is Zinch, 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 Seraphon, Zinch, Zinch, Daughters, Seraphon, Daughters, Ogres. There's a couple of other. So we've got Caradron Overlords, Maggotkin of Nurgle, and Daughters of Cain are probably the only three armies which are going to sort of challenge against this Zinch domination. There's a potential for the Seraphon. Whilst he's in 4th as it stands, that's Ridge. He's on 3-1, so unbeaten. It's going to be. We're looking really at Zinch, Daughters, Nurgle, or Caradron Overlords to take out the tournament. That's what we're looking at.
Oh, Caradron Overlords! They beat the horrors.
No, it's ongoing.
Oh.
Yeah, so I can jump into that table and have a little look if you want, but no.
That's okay. I trust both of yours and mine analysis at the start of the game that 70 Pink Horrors wins shifting objectives most times. They just got to run there. That's going to be the problem, whether or not they get. So as you can see, these Blood Sisters have left that objective. That's still going to be their objective. Even if though they've left it, so they still hold the objective. But he might just leave one on there just because. So we're past the movement phase. We have got no rerolls, I don't think, go out. I think I see a debuff token go down there. So we've got reroll wounds has gone onto the Cauldron, looking to slap Teclis back on top of his mountain. And then I think we're going to see this unit of Bloodstalkers just look to move to outbody the middle objective. I think that might be the case of what we see. There we go. So they're on there, and then they can apply all that shooting attack into the Dawn Riders if they want, which might be the smart play, to be honest. Just like shoot all the shots into the Dawn Riders, just to make sure that they go down. But we've got also the added kind of like added combat prowess coming in. Also from the Bloodwrack Shrine at the bottom, that's got some shooting as well. There's another unit of Bloodstalkers here. There is 15 wounds in those Dawn Riders though, and they've got that Pip of Aether Quartz, so they can be on a 3-up armor save very quickly. They're 2 wounds. Oh, they're only 2 wounds. Okay, but either way, it's 10 wounds, but they can still have a 3-up armor save.
Yeah. That's not going to help them against the cold-hearted fury of that Bloodwrack Shrine. That's going to go in and probably kill them all, Rob. Okay, it's also got a wonderful shooting attack, so he's going to get 5 shots here, doing mortal wounds on 5. So he might be able to pick one off in the shooting phase. It's a wonderful little piece. That it's so important because that's the piece, I think, along with the Iron Scale, that's making all the Snake's battle line as well. So this feels like the cleanup crew a little bit here, doesn't it, Rob? You might just have Teclis and his sword alone.
Teclis is going nowhere. Teclis is going home. He's flying right away. He's not involved in this match at all. Oh, he's using an Aether Quartz, though. He's still fighting, apparently. We'll see. We're into the shooting phase, though, right? We still got the shooting phase to go now. Okay. And who are the Bloodstalkers targeting? That's the real question. I wonder. Probably just he could target Teclis as well, and then use the Bloodwrack Shrine to charge the Wardens.
I think he's going to be targeting Big T. I wouldn't be surprised. It's
Oh my
like those
god,
big hero models. They always attract so much heat, don't they?
they do.
Which can sometimes be to the benefit of the rest of your army. But I think here it's still a decent play. Just get rid of him, and then you can charge in the shrine and charge in the cauldron, and the cauldron gets the impact hits and stuff. Yeah, he's got a lot of levers he can pull here, Dayton.
He has. And he's got lots of units to pull those levers, whereas the Teklian force has felt a little overwhelmed from the beginning, to be honest. So they've got Darkness as a Soul on them, which is effectively a pseudo Bellicor, so he's just rolling to see if he can shoot with them. And they can. They can, and they are shooting at Big T. Big T looking to take the pain. That's the real question. Like, he's got 5 wounds left. He's used his Ace of Quartz, so he's got +1 save. Is he gonna go down? Owen, do you think he's going down this shooting phase?
Yes. Of course he is. He's gonna go down under a hail of hot fire, and it's gonna be glorious.
So 9 water wounds straight away. Then 12 saves as well. So he's gonna have to save those. He's got protection Teclis. So he's rolling the 5 up on the mortals first. Okay, he's dead.
I mean, I did say.
Smoked. He was smoked, I think is the correct word. I think moving into the Bloodstalkers, they're going to be attacking these. We can end it at the end of this. Well, we can stop the coverage at the end of this round, because this is a sad affair for everyone.
Seeing a puppy get kicked or something, isn't it? At the moment, this is pretty rough.
No, it's not. It's like looking at a pompous king of France in the 14th century get kicked in the balls, and it's brilliant. No offense to the French, you're just particularly, extravagant as a group, which I find endearing in loads of ways. Your cheese is obviously brilliant, extravagant beyond measure, but your pompous kings need kicking, is all I'm going to say, as do English pompous kings. I'll kick any king, is what I'd say.
Hey, Rob, man, the guillotine's calling for you, baby, after that kind of, shots fired. We're trying to build bridges, not burn them after Brexit. Come on. What are you doing to us?
It's okay. I'm dig up. I can't do it. We only put the guillotines outside the banks anyway, Owen, not in front of the king's houses. Right. So into the shooting phase from the Bloodrack Medusa and this unit of Bloodstalkers. We've only got 1 Dawn Rider left. Yeah, so it's pretty rough. They're definitely gonna die. They have called the game, Owen. It is all over. It felt like a whitewash from the beginning. Owen, you got any kind of final thoughts on this?
I mean, I think that Enzo maybe gave too much respect to Dayton's list, but I don't really know what he does. That there is an element of, it's a bit like playing Corn, walk forward, get punched in the face sometimes. So he's obviously set up his castle, and what Dayton had was good enough to storm the castle, right, and rip Teclis out from his his high perch and chop his head off.
Well, I think what's interesting is that we didn't really see the output from the Wardens. I'm going to say that feels like a kind of key point. There's only 5 up save on those snakes. And like when we did finally see 20 Wardens go in, they really just didn't do the work. That's kind of the key point there. And to use them, and they're an interesting choice in building that Teklian castle, which we've seen play many times on the stream, and I think you'll see play loads anyway, is you basically put your hammer unit as your screening unit at the same time, and when it gets whittled down, you lose a lot of output very, very quickly. And I think in that lies maybe the problem of the build in of itself. Because I'd like to talk about the list maybe than the plays necessarily, because I think the plays maybe could have been a little bit better, but ultimately, he could have screened with the Wardens, he could have screened with the Dawn Riders. Ultimately, pushed them out and controlled some of the board space a little bit, so he could countercharge instead of just getting slapped with because it was important, right? With the Wardens. The Wardens' jobs were to fight off the brick of 20 and the brick of 10 snakes. That was the job. And then the Sentinels just really were outclassed. although he spent twice as many points. You had 2 lots of Sentinels, really, versus the 15 Stalkers, and the Stalkers are just outclassing the Sentinels, but they are twice as many points.
Yeah, and I think that on turn 1, when that unit of Wardens got shot in the centre, I think he lost 12 to 14 Wardens, and he took them from a really odd place. He just took the screen that he created and kept the little sort of 6 on the side, and that allowed the snakes to just charge in and effectively tag in. So he tagged in and killed both units of Sentinels. He tagged in the remnant unit. Effectively from that point, I think he was reacting to Dayton for the rest of the game. Then, I don't think that the Enzo he could have got up early on points a little bit. I don't know. It's tough, man. I don't know how else he played it, because he played it in the classic way, didn't he? He set up.
But that's
the castle.
what I mean. I don't think that classic play style works. Reminds me of all the Seraphon players. Not this edition, but last edition, would always be playing Shadow Strike and be like, "We never win a tournament." It's like, because you only all build the same list that ever goes 3-2-4-1. You're going to have to re-envision how you play. And Lumineth Realm Lords obviously have just got a brand new kind of inclusion of a load of different units. So it'll be really fun to see how these lists are going to look next, after this book comes out. Anyway, Owen, it's a pleasure. We're going to be back in an hour and 40 minutes. So about 1 p.m. time, UK time for you guys, for the 5th and final round to see who it's going to play. Dayton through to the top bracket. Loads of Tzeentch Archaons through to the top bracket as well. We'll see who takes it out. Owen, you got any kind of predictions? Who you vibing with?
I would really like to see. I mean, the Daughters list that Dayton's running has all the tools to kill Archaon, even with the reroll 6s. I expect to see Daughters versus Tzeentch Archaon. And let's go for Honest Wargamer taking out the tournament at one of our fellow co-hosts. What a time to be alive, Rob?
Yeah, if you guys want to see the bracket, you can type exclamation mark event. Yeah. And you can see the bracket there. That'll take you to where you need to go. That was really fun match. Loved it. I am rooting for Dayton to take out the event now. I'm not gonna lie. So really fun. Enzo, great. Thank you very much. Dayton, loads of love. Owen, loads of love. Table Boss Matt, thanks, loads of love. See you guys in an hour and 40 minutes. Thanks very much.